Teresa and Felix's family was enjoying an apparently prosperous period, with 3 children and a promising future ahead. However, Felix's premature death deeply shook this family harmony. The blow was cruel and left emotional scars. But an unexpected visit from a stranger was about to reveal a series of secrets about Felix that his family would never have imagined. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. You know those perfect families that seem to come out of a television commercial? To everyone's eyes, that's how Felix and Teresa's family looked. The couple and their 3 children lived in a comfortable neighborhood. The father, Felix, was a financial director at a renowned company, while the mother, Teresa, taught chemistry at the local school. To friends and neighbors, life in that house was a perfect painting, but a closer look would reveal the imperfections in that work of art. Felix and Teresa's marriage was going through a deep crisis. Over the years, Felix had developed an addiction to gambling, a dark secret that was undermining not only the family's financial life, but also the love and trust they once shared. Teresa, a strong and dedicated woman, found herself torn between the love she felt for Felix and her concern for their children's future. She knew she needed to make a decision, but uncertainty paralyzed her. What to do when love and disappointment intertwined in such a complex way? Meanwhile, Felix lived in a world of lies and regrets. Each lost bet pushed him deeper into an abyss from which he didn't know how to escape. He saw the disappointment in Teresa's eyes and felt the distance grow between them each day. But for some reason, he couldn't control his addiction. It was as if he were trapped in a web of compulsions that imprisoned him more and more. Every day, Felix woke up with the feeling that it would be his lucky day. He believed he could recover all the money lost in previous bets, as if the universe were conspiring in his favor. This hope, though illusory, was what kept him captive in his addiction, always seeking a redemption that seemed increasingly distant. The family, which used to take an annual vacation trip, had their plans thwarted because Felix had committed that money to yet another series of risky bets. Teresa, the dedicated mother, tried at all costs to shield the children from this painful truth about their father. She knew how much that could shake the innocent and safe world they had built for their children. No matter how much Teresa tried to protect Felix's image before their children, the tension between the couple was palpable. Frequent arguments about the family's finances and Felix's secrets undermined the harmony of the home. The constant worry about accumulating debts began to affect everyone's well-being. That day, when Felix came home early from work, his expression betrayed that something was deeply wrong. The children had already returned from school and were sitting at the table, focused on their homework. The atmosphere at home was tense and everyone could feel it in the air. "Teresa, we need to talk. Let's go to the bedroom," Felix said with a voice laden with worry and sadness, looking directly into his wife's eyes. The children exchanged glances, well aware that when their parents had something serious to talk about, they retreated to the bedroom, and many of those conversations ended in rather unfriendly arguments. "Teresa, I made a terrible mistake. I used the company's money to place a bet. I was certain I would receive my salary the next day, so I took an amount from the company. The next day, after receiving my salary, I returned the money, but my transaction was discovered, and I ended up getting fired. My bosses decided not to take legal action due to the years I worked there, but now I am unemployed, and my reputation is tarnished." This time, there was no yelling or arguing. Teresa simply sat on the edge of the bed, both hands covering her face, as tears silently streamed down. She felt a mixture of sadness, despair, and deep concern. "What are you doing with your life, Felix? And where are you taking our family?" Teresa said, her voice choked with emotion. She looked into her husband's eyes, with an expression of dismay and determination. "Felix, I'm not going to sink on this ship with my children. This was the limit." Teresa began packing her belongings into a suitcase, her hands trembling slightly with the tension she felt. She knew she needed to make a drastic decision to protect her children and maintain her own sanity. She gave instructions to the children to start packing their things too, explaining that they would be spending some time at their grandparents' house. Her children, confused and worried about the situation, obeyed Teresa's orders without questioning. She wanted to keep them away from the troubled environment their home had become. "Teresa, we are married, and in our vows, you promised to be with me through good times and bad," Felix said, his voice heavy with sadness and regret. "Indeed, Felix, I made that vow, but you are the one bringing harm into our home. You are not taking care of your family," Teresa responded firmly, though she too was emotionally shaken by the situation. She set off towards her parents' house, taking the couple's 3 children with her. Tears streamed down her face as she drove, but she knew she was doing what was best for her family at that moment. Felix, alone in the empty house, felt the temptation of his addiction calling to him. It seemed to be the only way to relieve the crushing weight of the problems surrounding him. And that night, once again, he was overcome by this compulsion. A few days had passed since Teresa had left with her 3 children. She was sheltered in her parents' house. That morning, she was getting ready to go to work, while the children prepared for another day of school, when the doorbell at her parents' house rang. When she opened the door, she found Felix standing outside. "Good morning, Teresa," Felix began, with a determined expression on his face. "I decided to stop by to see the kids and also to tell you that I got a new job. It's a more modest position than I had before, but I intend to do my best to earn my place in this new company." He looked at his children with a sad, longing smile before continuing. "I have more news. I started getting treatment for my addiction. Yesterday was my first meeting in a support group. I know it's still too early for you to forgive me, but I want you to know that I am committed to changing." Time continued to pass, and Felix gradually proved that gambling was a chapter of the past. He filled his mind with activities that kept him away from the addiction, such as spending more time with the children, dedicating himself to reading and practicing sports. His transformation was evident, and he was determined to rebuild his life. One of the most significant changes was his reconnection with Teresa. They found an activity that deeply connected them. They started taking walks together, which soon turned into runs. Running side by side became a symbol of their reconstruction journey, a metaphor that they were, literally, moving forward together. Teresa, on her part, perceived the sincerity in Felix's actions. She saw the genuine effort he was making to change and become the husband and father the family deserved. Over time, she decided to return home, bringing the children back to the home they shared. The family, now united and renewed, seemed truly happy. Felix's new job did not have the same prestige or high salary as before, but with financial discipline and careful planning, they even managed to save for the family vacations they had missed in the past. With each trip, they created precious memories and reinforced the bonds that had been restored with so much effort. Fate seemed to have one more cruel surprise reserved for that family. Felix received a devastating diagnosis, an advanced disease that doctors were not optimistic about treating. Despite their efforts, conventional treatments did not seem to work. The family faced a battle that seemed impossible to win. In their desperate search for a cure, the family began exploring experimental treatments, spending a lot of money in the hope of finding a solution that could save Felix's life. Teresa was not willing to give up and refinance the family home to obtain more financial resources. She was willing to do anything to prolong the life of her beloved husband and the father of their children. Felix, on the other hand, could feel that his body was tired and that the fight was becoming unbearable. He saw the suffering his illness was causing the family, the emotional and financial exhaustion it was inflicting on them. With a heavy heart, he finally made the difficult decision to let life take its course. The family gathered around him, sharing precious moments and words of love as Felix said goodbye to this world. He departed, leaving behind a longing wife and 3 children who loved him deeply. Moving forward was not easy, especially for Teresa, who remembered everything she and Felix had been able to overcome together. Now, he was gone, leaving a deep void in her life and in the lives of their children. The family's financial situation was in ruins. Teresa, even working tirelessly as a teacher, could no longer manage the financial commitments. The loans and mortgage that had been taken out to pay for Felix's treatments were taking a heavy toll. The house, which once was their safe haven, was now about to be lost. In the midst of this scenario of challenges and uncertainties, one day, an unexpected visit from a stranger was about to reveal a secret that Felix had kept hidden. The well-dressed man handed an envelope to Teresa with a solemn expression. "Mrs. Teresa, this envelope contains the last instructions from your husband, Felix," he said, keeping his voice calm and respectful. Then he turned and left, leaving the family in a state of perplexity and curiosity. Inside the envelope, Teresa found not only bank documents, but also a handwritten letter from Felix. His words were like a final and emotional farewell message. "Dear Teresa and beloved children, if you are receiving this letter, it is because I am no longer with you physically. I hope you are well. I wished our life together could have been longer, but fate led us down this path. However, something that will never end is the love we share as a family. I want you to forgive me for the times I was neglectful and irresponsible with our family." Inside this envelope, Teresa, are the details of a bank account with a few €100,000. It is in your name, and I hope you use it to get the family's life in order after my departure. Do you remember the night you left our house, taking the children with you? That night, I couldn't resist and made a risky bet. To my surprise, I ended up winning the grand prize. I was completely euphoric, but looking around, I realized I was alone. There was no one to share the joy of winning with, and soon that emptiness filled me. That night, I decided to change. I decided to win my family back. I opened this account and put all the money I won from the bet into it. I wanted to win back my life through my efforts and be worthy of your forgiveness, which is why I never used that money. But now, accept this money as my way of taking care of my family, even without being with you. Never forget that you were the greatest prize I won in life. I love you." Felix's letter brought deep comfort to the hearts of the family. They understood that Felix, even though no longer physically present, was still taking care of them in a special way. The money Felix left proved to be a true gift. With it, the family managed to pay off all pending loans and prevent the loss of the house that had been their home for so long. This unexpected twist in their financial situation brought immense relief, allowing the family to breathe more easily and begin to build a new chapter in their lives. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.